always feel like somebody's watching me, and I have no privacy.
Good evening, ghosts and ghouls. It's the one, the only JT Ripper, and I'm here with the Sultan of Succotash,
Tide of Thunder.
and we're here. We're going to give you our top 5 remakes.
Yes, our top 5 most liked remakes, and as always, we always like to start it off with an honorable mention. And my honorable mention is going to be from 2004, and it's going to be Dawn of the Dead.
Oh, okay.
As you know, the original Dawn of the Dead is in my top 10 favorite of all time. And I thought that this remake was pretty awesome. I thought that it paid homage to the original film. I thought it had good characters in place of it. Of course, it was more people as far as characters involved in the remake than it was. I think it was, 3 or 4 people?
Yeah.
Like 4 main people in the original. It was a little bit more in the remake, and they all had like their, typical personalities. One guy was kind of a dick, the other guy was more of a leader, the other ones were more of a sympathetic type of roles or whatever. But yeah, I think from like the beginning of this movie on, I thought it was always pretty good. I thought they did a good job of using music in this movie. Having that Johnny Cash song to open up the movie was, I would have never thought to open up a zombie movie with Johnny Cash.
Right, yeah. I thought it was awesome. It was one of those movies that I can sit back and rewatch over and over.
Yeah, but that's my honorable mention.
That's a pretty damn good honorable mention. My honorable mention is going to be Child's Play, actually.
Okay.
I really like this movie. If you go back and listen to our Child's Play rankings, I talk about this movie. I've got it pretty high on the list, actually. I think it nailed it. It kept true to, the original, kind of evil doll concept, but it put a new, 20th century spin on it, and I enjoyed that. Everything about the movie was just fun to me. I didn't really like how Chucky looked at first, but, the more you watch it, the more involved you get. And Mark Hamill, I mean, he's just great, and I think he nailed the voice performance, because his delivery, you get behind it and you believe that he legitimately actually cares for the kid, to the point to where, he's overprotective and stuff like that. And I think that that's very important, because that could have got lost very quickly.
Definitely. Yeah, I enjoy that one as well. I guess kicking off my number 5 is, and remember, we're doing 2000 until now, so
yeah,
barely just made my list. Is from 2001, and it's 13 Ghosts.
I almost put that in my top 5.
I mean, if you go back and you watch this movie, it's kind of corny. Maybe doesn't hold up today.
I think it does.
But it doesn't matter if it does or not. I mean, the ghost in this movie is memorable. All the different ones. Plus, I think Matthew Lillard had a brilliant role in the film.
Yeah, he had a fantastic performance in this movie.
Yeah, and the guy that plays the main guy, I can't think of his name, but he was on that TV show on USA.
Monk, yeah.
I can't remember, but anyway, I thought he did a really good job.
He really did.
I thought he did a good job of being the clueless dad, but yet sympathetic. A lot of times you'll get a character that is clueless, and you kind of get mad at him, you fucking idiot, wake up! Don't you see what's going on? But he has this quality about him to where he can pull that off, but you still are sympathetic to him, because you kind of understand where he's coming from.
Right.
But yeah, 13 Ghosts has always been a fun one. It came out, of course, in the early 2001. And, the old black and white, I can't remember if the old one was in black and white or in color. It's been so long since I've seen it.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I actually sat down and watched the original.
But, honestly, I don't really remember a whole lot from the original. I know that I've seen this movie way before I watched the original.
Yeah, I didn't know this was a remake when I first saw it.
Yeah. So,
I guess that's why it kind of stuck with me personally.
Yeah, so that's my number 5. I've always liked it. 13 Ghosts.
That's a goodie. I like it. Kicking off my number 5 is going to be Rob Zombie's Halloween.
Nice.
I know it's a very controversial one. Nobody really likes this movie. It's all you Halloween people are, probably like it now. But I actually liked it. I liked Rob Zombie's take on it. I like the white trash backstory. I like the fucked up the household. All the way, what made Michael sick in the head, like what made him want to kill, why, he did certain things at the same time. He was just fucked in the head.
Yeah.
Despite everything Rob Zombie showed you, he was just an evil bastard, no matter what. And I love all the women that get to play in this movie. I think they did a fantastic job. Brought back Daniel Harris to the franchise.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. I mean, bringing Danielle Harris back to play a different role. I mean, she's played in 4 Halloween movies in 2 different timelines and 2 different characters.
Right.
That's fucking kind of crazy.
Right, exactly. And, of course she nails it every time. Brad Dourif's in this movie, if you're not familiar with him. Chucky, he's the voice of Chucky, and fucking fantastic. He's a highly underrated actor. If you've never seen The Exorcist 3, case in point.
Yeah.
And just the cast that he gets in this movie just fucking brings it home for me. All the way down to the score. Tyler Mane as Rob Zombie as Michael Myers, fucking fantastic, fan-fucking-tastic. And I can't express how much I love this movie. And I'm glad I got to see it in theaters.
Sweet, man. Well, kicking off my number 4 is from 2009, and it's My Bloody Valentine. Anybody that knows me knows that My Bloody Valentine is one of my favorite standalone slasher films.
Same.
And My Bloody Valentine remake, I was skeptical when it came out. However, I judge a movie on how good of time I had with it. And I had a fantastic time with this movie. Yes. I just did. I mean, it's not... in no way, shape, or form do I think it's better than the original, but I think it lives up to what a remake should be. It was fun. It was fun. All the characters were in play. Everybody that they got to play the certain roles that they did a wonderful job. No, it didn't offend me, and I had fun with it. Plus, we got to see guys like Tom Atkins. Have a role in it. And
the guy from Supernatural, the short-haired guy. I can't ever remember that guy's name.
Yeah, he's the
one who plays Sam.
He's the main guy.
Dean. Excuse me. Dean.
You never know which one.
It's Dean. It's Dean.
Whatever. He did a good job. Yeah, My Bloody Valentine is my number 4. Because when I can think of a word to describe this movie, and it is fun, that's the only way I can do it. And, it did have the 3D gimmick to it.
Yeah.
But it did not bother me. Like, it wasn't like when it came out and you're watching it without 3D, that the 3D was out of place in it. Or at least I could... Yeah, I mean, in some scenes, maybe, but it didn't really like affected any. And the death scenes in it are pretty fucking brutal.
Very.
Yeah, I mean the scene when they were in the hotel room, and the girl, she's like completely fucking naked, and the only thing separating her and the killer is like this steel mattress type of deal.
Yeah.
You know, and like, watch this movie. You'll have a fun time with it.
To actually piggyback off of that, because it's my number 4. I fucking love this movie. I think it done, as you said, a fantastic job sticking to the original, but while making it its own, because it feels totally different than the original, but it's still tried and true to the original.
Yeah.
It's fucking fantastic. I love, you get involved with the characters. Tom Atkins, by the way. Tom Atkins. Can't get enough of this guy. Just phenomenal. The death scenes are great. You know, even the pickaxe through the eye and everything with the whole 3D thing was, you know, a little cheesy. I still thought then, but, you know, still not that bad. You know, I still love this movie though. It's great.
But if you're going to use 3D, why not use it for a big kill scene like that?
Exactly. You know, unlike, you know, like Friday the 13th 3D, you know, where it's just staring at the end of a fucking rake.
Right. Well, coming in my number 3 is Halloween 2007. Rob Zombies. So, yeah, everything you said is why I love this movie. It seems to me that when I hear people review this film, they always say, well, I like the second half better than I like the first half. And it's like, okay, well, I'm the absolute opposite. I like the first half. By the way, I like the whole movie. But if I had to say which half do you like better, I kind of like the first half better. You want to know why? Because it's not been told. The second half of the film has been told. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, the first half
Agreed.
of the movie is all Rob Zombie's imagination.
Right.
He didn't really have to do much for the second half. He had a basis to go off of. In the first half, though, creating this family, the dysfunction, why Michael is, you know, kind of angry. I mean, the opening scene, we see him, like, kill a fucking, like, hamster or whatever.
Yeah.
So we already know that he's fucked up.
Yeah, he's fucked.
He's already fucked, and he just needs that, like, little push to go off the edge. And I think as the movie goes on, we see him shut down more and more and more and more and more. And finally, I think when Sherry Moon Zombie as his mom, like, kills herself.
That hit me. Like, I felt that. Like, I felt terrible.
First of all, you can talk shit about Sherry Moon Zombie all you want to. She was fantastic in this role.
She was.
Like,
this is probably my favorite role by her.
Like, you really felt that she was, like, so heartbroken that this was happening to her son.
Right.
Like,
and she caused this.
Yeah, and she probably felt bad because she put kind of the pieces in play. But then again, maybe it wasn't her fault. Maybe, I mean, if it wasn't her abusive boyfriend and it wasn't Michael's bitch of a sister, we saw the bullies in the film. So Michael was going to become Michael regardless.
Right.
So,
like, no matter what path, it was always dark.
Yeah. And it was good to see, Ken Foray as Big Joe Grizzly is one of my favorite characters, and he's only on screen for like 3 freaking minutes.
Yeah.
And he's like one of the most memorable things about this movie. You know, when he goes, "I'm Big Joe Grizzly, bitch," and you know that's how Michael gets his jumpsuit and everything else.
Not to mention the deaths.
Like, yeah, the death scenes
Michael
are
is
brutal.
so fucking brutal.
Yeah, and again, in every Rob Zombie movie, there's always a really good use of music. Whether it's a score or whether it's taking an old rock tune and putting it for some reason, it fits that scene that he's doing. No
Right.
matter how fucked up the scene is, and no matter how strange the scene is, the songs that he chooses to be in that particular scene kind of fits.
It's magical almost, like Freebird and Devil's Rejects.
Right. Stuff like that. Having...
Chef's Kiss.
I can't think of the song Tom Sawyer by Rush without thinking of Halloween 2007.
Yeah, I agree.
That was my number 3, man.
My number 3 is actually I Spit on Your Grave remake.
Okay, sweet. Don't get enough love for that one.
No, not really. I think that this remake is fantastic. It takes exactly like My Bloody Valentine, sticks to the original, but I'll be honest with you, I kind of like the remake better than I do the original, and this is why it's higher on my list. Like, this is a revenge movie, and like the rape scene is like brutal, and you just want this girl to fucking get revenge, and the way it's shot, the way it looks, it's just fucking fantastic. I can't think of the actress that plays in it, but she is phenomenal. Like, This is like the type of like how you and why you want to root for a woman. Like, she's been fucking done wrong, and I want like all the like best for her, and I want her to get every fucking last one of them, and she does.
Yeah, this is definitely how to do a women can be powerful movie done right.
Yes.
And yeah, I agree with you, man. Everything that happens to her is so like brutal to watch. It reminds me a little bit of the original Last House on the Left, how brutal that rape scene was, and the awesome feeling you get at the end of that movie where the parents get the revenge.
Yeah.
It's kind of how you feel when this girl takes her revenge out on these people.
Right.
And not only does she take her revenge, but she does it. She like plans this shit out, and she does it, and it's some of the most creative and satisfying kills.
Right.
So yeah, man, that was a great choice. I don't think that movie gets, or that franchise, quite frankly, gets talked about enough when we talk about like these horror films, and especially kicking off that whole like exportation revenge type of film.
Yeah. Not to mention the sequels to the remake are good too.
Yeah, they're actually good, and it's like what, 3 or 4 of them by now.
Yeah. And
it's they've been kind of under the radar, but we love horror movies, so we definitely know about them. If you haven't seen that movie, I Spit on Your Grave, definitely check that one out, because that's probably one that you might not have seen that's on our list. All these other ones are kind of well-known horror remakes. That one is still kind of under the radar.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Well, my number 2.
Number 2.
2003. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
That's my number 2, too.
Yep.
Cool, we can double dip on this.
Yeah. People that know us know that the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre from '74 is one of our favorite films. It's always been one of our favorite films. We hold it very near and dear to our hearts.
Absolutely.
We've said our piece on that one. That being said, while this movie is not better than that one, because it just isn't, this is a very fucking worthy remake.
Absolutely. Like, this is like a notch under the original to me.
Yeah, it really is.
And that's not taking away from it at all.
No, it's one of those movies where it's like, you go into it and you know it's not going to be better, but you had no fucking expectation that it was going to be as good as it was.
Right. It had no reason to be as good as it was.
It wasn't.
And I'll be honest with you, the one thing this movie does get, I think honestly, better is that the victims are a little bit more likable in this movie. I think like you have like more of a attachment to these characters more so than some of the original characters from the original movie. Me personally, this is how I feel.
Well, I can see
You don't have Francis, you know what I mean?
Franklin. Francis. Who the fuck is Francis?
Who's the pea shooter?
Francis? From fucking Pee-wee's Big Adventure?
Yeah. Franklin.
Yeah. They kept the death scenes are still brutal. This movie is generally horrifying. I didn't think that. I mean, I've already stated that the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre scared the shit out of me and still does. This movie comes very close. I mean, this Leatherface is scary. He really is. He's
absolutely
he's
brutal.
He's a man on a fucking mission. R.E. Ermey plays a fucking fantastic secondary villain role in this.
Yeah, I guess he'd be considered like the cook character.
Yeah, and like you said, the cast in it, they spent a little bit more with the cast in this, I think, like kind of establishing like who they are. Like in the original 74, we see these characters, but we really don't get to know them.
Right, and that's what I liked about this is that like you got to like them. You kind of grew with them a little bit. You know, like when he killed that one guy, and he was, she'd been wanting that ring, and when he fucking gutted him upside down, the fucking ring fell out, and your fucking heart sank.
Yeah, that was pretty dope. But yeah, Chainsaw. I mean, and this movie, like we had remakes before this movie, but after the success of this movie, that's when we had remake fucking mania happen.
Yeah.
And I think it's because of the success. And while there has been many great remakes, very few has duplicated the being as good as this film.
Right. And thank God, because then we got Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the beginning, after this.
Which I thought was... Yeah, I thought that was a great movie. And when we do our Texas Chainsaw Massacre ranking video, we'll get more into detail on that, but just know that those two movies will probably be high on our list.
Very high. I think that I can predict your number one.
Oh, yeah?
Because it might be my number one.
Well, my number one is The Hills Have Eyes from 2006.
Yep, same.
And there's a reason why I have this at number one.
Same here.
I have this at number one because it's the only remake that I legitimately think is better than the original.
I second that.
The Old Hills Have Eyes is a good popcorn movie.
Absolutely. There's nothing wrong with it.
It's directed by Wes Craven, for Christ's sakes.
They're all dead.
Yeah. But the remake is fucking brutal.
Nasty.
It is one of those movies where I didn't think was possible to make that type of brutal movie in this day and age.
Right, exactly.
Like
as I'm watching this, I'm like, I can't believe what I'm seeing.
Yeah. It was disturbing. It was bloody. It was gory.
Unsettling.
It was unsettling, but at the same time, it was very story-driven. You had, a revenge aspect to it.
Yes.
And, at the end, it's one of these movies where you're not cheering for the bad guys in this.
No, not at all.
You are cheering for this guy. This guy has had every fucking thing happen to him, and he's still standing, and you just want to fucking root for him.
Right, you're just hoping that he fucking takes everybody's heads off and shoves them up their asses.
And towards the end of the movie, when he has to get like that, and he finally does, I mean, it's a great feeling watching him get to that point.
Yes, absolutely. Great roller coaster like revenge movie. And it took what the original was about. I mean, it paid homage to it and then made it better.
Yeah.
And that's why it's my number one. Like the fucking soundtrack, the acting, like the tribute, the look, the feel, the atmosphere, the kills. I mean, it's on point. Like, it hits on all cylinders.
Yeah. And, you know, not only is this my favorite remake simply because I think it's better, but, you know, if we ever did like a top 5 or top 10 list of our favorite horror movies from, let's say, 2000 to 2010, maybe even 2000 to now, this would be at the top of the list.
Yeah.
Like, there's been some great movies to come after this and before this, but this I'm pretty guarantee you that this would be in the top 5 favorite horror movies of the last 23 years for me.
Yeah. I mean, and we also got a pretty good sequel out of this too.
Yeah, the sequel wasn't well received because it was more of a tongue-in-cheek popcorn movie.
Yeah.
But it was still a fun fucking movie. It was it didn't have the seriousness and the overall like whoa factor to it like this one had.
Yeah.
But it was a good little worthy sequel, I felt.
Yeah, same.
And, you know, I believe we went to the theaters and saw both of these films.
We did.
Honestly, the thing about it is I remember seeing part 2. I vaguely remember seeing 06.
I remember seeing 06.
And it bugs the fuck out of me because this is my favorite remake and I can't remember watching it. Like, in theaters.
Right.
I've seen it a million fucking times since then, but
Right.
I'm pretty sure that I've seen it in theaters.
Yeah, same. I do remember watching it in theaters.
But again, that goes back to that effect of after 2003, there's been so many fucking remakes that sometimes it's kind of hard to keep up with. Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah, I did go to theaters and see that, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, exactly. But on that note, I think that's a wrap.
Yeah, those were our top 5 favorite remakes. We hope you enjoyed listening to us. And
we definitely enjoyed talking about them this time.
Yeah, this was a much better conversation to have than the ones we hate. And like I said, you know, we're not the most
See? We're very vocal. We're not the very best at being vocal sometimes, especially when emotions get involved.
Yeah, we're not the ones that will articulate. That was the word I was thinking of.
Yeah.
We're not going to use a bunch of fancy words. If we fucking hate something, we're going to say we fucking hate it. If we fucking love something, we're going to say we fucking love it. And that pretty much drives home the point.
Yeah, exactly. But we thank y'all for tuning in. I'm JT Ripper.
And I'm Todd of Thunder saying toodaloo.
And eat shit.